and welcome back to Gapey's Grow Room. Today we're going to be repotting our cherry tomato seedlings into single cells. And usually what I like to do is start my tomatoes in these oversized 6-packs, and I plant 5 seeds in each cell. And you can see my video that I posted a few weeks ago on that process. But today we're going to break those seedlings up and put them into their own single cell. But what I usually do in years past is transplant these a lot sooner. So these are actually a lot bigger than what I normally would do. So I think what I'm going to do in that case is repot these into these 2.5-inch containers. What I usually do is repot them into another 6-pack like this, but just put 1 seedling in each cell. But since they're much bigger, I'm going to go with this 2.5-inch pot, because I think these cell trays are going to be a little too small for this size seedling. So we're going to go ahead and go with that, and then later on next month I'll repot them again into the larger 3.5-inch square pots, and that will be what they'll stay in until they go outside. So let's go ahead and talk about potting soils first. So this year I am trying Pro Mix. I hadn't actually heard about this brand before, but I saw it and a lot of people recommended it for growing figs. So I thought I would try it for growing my vegetables and flowers. So I have 2 different ones here. This Pro Mix Premium over here on the left is a compressed pack. So there's actually quite a bit of potting mix in there because it's so compressed. But I found that at Walmart for a pretty good price. It doesn't say it's organic, but if I look at the ingredients here are peat moss, cocoa coir, perlite, ground limestone, wetting agent, and mycorrhizae. So there's not any inorganic nutrients or fertilizers in there. So it seems like a pretty general mix of ingredients that is what you would find in most organic potting mixes. So I'm not really too concerned about that being bad for growing vegetables or herbs or anything, but I am trying to use this mainly for growing flowers just in case. So that's pretty much what I'm using this for, is flowers, and I'm also using it for my fig trees as well. And I think it was under $20 for that big bag, so I went ahead and bought, I think, 3 or 4 of those. But I did find that Pro Mix also has an organic potting mix, but I haven't been able to find that locally. So I did find that on, let's see, what was the site? Greenhouse Megastore is the name of the site. And I've also bought other stuff from them, like potting trays and seed labels and a few other things. But this is an organic one. And if we look at the ingredients on this one, so the ingredients here are peat moss, peat humus, perlite, gypsum, limestone, organic fertilizer, and it also has the mycorrhiza. So this is it seems like a pretty good mix. So this one does have the fertilizer in it, which the other one didn't. So when I use the other one, I do add some of my own fertilizer since it doesn't have it. But this would be, I think, a good one for my vegetables. So this is what I'm going to be using for my tomato seedlings. And I'm actually going to put, so since I have about 5 of each variety, I'm going to plant 4 of them in this potting mix, and I'll plant 1 in the other potting mix just to see if there's much of a difference, because I do like to experiment when I grow my seedlings. So let's go ahead and get started. So the first thing we need to do is get our potting mixes ready, because they are pretty dry mixes, so I need to get them pre-moistened. So I'm just going to pour, this is the organic one, I'm just going to pour some in this bucket here. And I usually try to hold my breath when I do that, because the dust particles can get up in the air and it's probably not good for your health. Some people even wear a mask when they do this. Okay, so you can see this is pretty dry. So we're going to go ahead and add some warm water. Make sure it's warm water because we don't want to shock our seedlings. We're just going to pour some of that in there. You can either mix it up with your hands or you can use a little fork like this And I've noticed this mix seems to take a lot more water than some of the other mixes I've used. Just seems more dry. So I'm going to add a little bit more. Okay, I'm going to test out the moisture with I'm going to use some gloves. I'm just going to grab a clump and squeeze it. So there is some water squeezing out of there, and that is not ideal. That's a little bit too wet, I think. So what you can do is just add a little bit more of the potting mix if it's too wet. And then mix that up. And let's give it a squeeze this time. That's much better. Nothing is coming out of there. So that is perfect. So I'm going to go ahead and fill up 4 of these containers. You just want to do it just barely to the top. Okay, so we've got 4 there. And then our 5th one is going to be with the other potting mix. So let me go grab that. Okay, so I've got my potting mix in there. So I'm going to just put a little bit of water. I didn't put as much in there for this one since we don't have as many to repot. Okay, that looks good. I'm going to set that over here. Okay, now we get to try and separate these seedlings. We'll see how badly the roots are tied together. So I usually grab another container to put the excess soil in, so I'm shaking those apart. So we're going to pick one that's got 5 in it. So we'll try the super sweet here. So we got 5 seedlings in there. So I'm just going to kind of turn it on its side. And just kind of give it a squeeze on the bottom and then gently pull it out. And we want to make sure that the potting mix is pretty dry because it's a lot easier to separate the seedlings when the soil is dry, I've noticed. So just kind of twist it and squeeze it in your fingers. Maybe give it a little shake. Just kind of separate with your fingers the roots on the bottom there. And every once in a while, just kind of shake off the excess potting mix. And once it's loosened up a little bit, you can start trying to pull these apart. I usually grab it by the bottom of the stem and just gently pull. If it doesn't come apart very easily, like it's not coming apart easily, I'm going to shake it a little bit more to try and get a little bit more off. Or you might want to try pulling one of the other ones. And this one is coming apart pretty easily. So there's one. And as you get one done, it'll become more easy to get the other ones done. So that one's not coming apart easily, so I'm going to try a different one. So that one came apart pretty easy. So we got 2 apart there. This one feels like it's going to be easy. So there we go, there's 3, so we've got 2 left. Let me just shake that up a little bit. All right, so we got all 5 of them apart and we didn't really lose too many roots, so that's a good thing. Okay, so now we're gonna take our guys here and I'm gonna just make a hole with my thumb in the middle. Just kind of separate the soil. And these are a little bit on the leggy side, so you can actually bury the stem all the way up to these seed leaves, the first set of leaves that came out. So I'm gonna go ahead and make that hole pretty deep. And we're just gonna put that right in and push it down. So you could see how deep it went in. It's almost all the way to those seed leaves. And then just wanna put the soil back in the hole. And then push it down with your thumb. And we're gonna add a little bit more potting mix to that. grab the right bucket here. And then just lightly tap it down. Okay, so there's our first one. And we don't want to forget to put our labels in. There it is. So this was the super sweet. So we're going to put that in there. And I've got some more blank labels here, so I need to do 4 more. So I'm going to go ahead and write those up real quick. So on one of the labels I put PMP, and the PMP stands for Pro Mix Premium. So that way I know which one was potted up in the other potting mix. So I'm going to save that label for that one. Okay, so we got the next one here. Same thing. Just stick your thumb in the middle, push the potting mix around, and we'll grab our next one, push it down. And you want to try and keep the stem in the middle as best you can, and then fill in around it. Okay, I'm just going to go ahead and do the rest of these. All right. So that is all there is to it. One more thing I like to do is just kind of take a rag and just brush any excess soil that got stuck on the sides. And I've got a newspaper down here so I don't make too much of a mess. All right, so next thing I'm going to do, on what I usually do when I repot tomato seedlings and pepper seedlings, is keep these in the dark for about 24 hours, just to help them recover from being repotted. It's probably not a necessary step, but I like to do that just to be on the safe side. So I'm going to go ahead and put these in a dark spot until tomorrow. So here I've got a black tote, so I'm just going to go ahead and use this for our seedlings. So we got all 5 in there. I'm going to go ahead and do some more, but for now I'm just going to cover this with a blanket, and they'll just stay in there for 24 hours, and then I'll take them out and put them back under the lights. All right, it's been a few days since we repotted our tomato starts, and they're all looking healthy and happy. I've got them back under the shop lights. These are T8 tubes that I have in just a regular shop light, and everybody's doing well. Thanks for watching, and we'll talk to you again soon. If you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe. You can also find me on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook.